welcome to a special episode of Platinum Explosion. It's a PlayStation Productions bonus. Today, we're talking about the first episode of The Last of Us HBO series. My name's John Blight, and joining me, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here to talk about how the video game adaptation curse is broken and fungi.
I want to take this. So, I want to go over the episode, of course, and we're going to be releasing one of these every week on the Platinum Explosion feed as we discuss The Last of Us. But before we get to that, I do have a few other bits and bobs to discuss about the show that I think would be interesting, and I want to get this one straight out of the way. I am finding the broken video game curse narrative weird.
Yeah, it would have been broken. Sonic's Hedgehog, right?
But I mean, it's not even like, I know like people have been posting that, but I'm kind of like, Sonic's, like, both those movies are decent. Like, I don't know what the...
We've had a bunch of pretty solid TV shows based on video games.
Yeah. We had the Pokemon, Detective Pikachu, like...
Arcane, that's fantastic.
Arcane, yeah, I'm just... Yeah, I don't know, it's like it's a whole weird thing. And the other thing that's really annoying me, just to get this out of the way as well, is any version of, well, this is what happens when you actually stick to adapting it properly, or, you know, like any of those sorts of things. I don't know. It's really weird. I would say what's happening with this Last of Us at the moment, it's sort of, it's sort of like, I wish I could like travel back in time and be a fly on the wall when, like, whatever the equivalent for this is for books. Like, what's the, you know, the first book where it's like, this is the first book adaptation they got right. We're okay now, guys. I like all those other terrible ones before. Like, I don't know. It's been interesting. What are your overall thoughts, though, on the first episode of the Last of Us series? I forgot what it's called. I wrote it down here somewhere.
When You're Lost in the Darkness.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, When You're Lost in the Darkness. It's about 80 minutes, this one.
Yeah. I thought it was really good. Obviously, it does very much pull straight from the video games. It plays like the first, I want to say, hour or so of the game off the top of my head from memory. Yeah, I think they built the tension. Unbelievable. I think I tweeted out, it's crazy how incredibly tense this was when we all know what was going to happen. We all very much knew what was going to happen, but, you know, it just kind of goes to show, you know, even if you know something's going to happen, it can still be tense as fuck. And, like, you know, maybe spoilers aren't a thing. Yeah, just a really great. It was, I think, you know, Pedro's fantastic as Joel. Bella's great, and the little bit we got to see of her as Ellie. Yeah, they've done a great job of like bringing the world together. Like we only get like, say what it's like 40 minutes in the past and 40 minutes in the present. I want to say off.
Yeah, it's like half episodes.
I saw some places say it's 2 episodes, but I don't think that's right.
No, it's
I
one. Guess it feels like 2 episodes.
It feels like 2 episodes because it's like a double length, but yeah, I think really there's some interesting changes. I think we'll probably get into the major one, but yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Even though, you know, I was freaked out and like very tense. And, like, don't walk into their house, Sarah. What are you doing?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. My main criticism would be I feel like there's some pacing issues, especially once it does the 20 years forward, like when it starts jumping around, like here's Joel, here's Tess, here's Ellie, like we're doing a bunch of I just feels like the pacing feels off there. It's not that it's jumping around, it's just there's something about the way it's edited or something, you know, when you feel it in your gut where the general pacing of those scenes feel a bit off.
I think that is also a case of, you know, how it plays out in the video game and it's paced differently. You know?
Maybe, but other thing I was
there's these long stretches between, like, there's a massive, like, exploring the city section here, meant to be here, you know, before they hit Robert or whatever, so.
Yes and no. I mean, I'm watching this, like, it's funny because I would almost, it's funny, like not to call out, I think I saw Buddy post or whatever, like something like, is this how people feel like watching stuff when they've read the book or whatever? But like how many people are having those? Yeah. How many people are having that? Because the actually need to think, how many people are having that sort of thing? Because I've read countless books prior to watching the movie, and my brain, and this isn't supposed to be like, oh fuck me, I read books, but like I do feel like I'm capable of watching things and like where I know the source material, like I've read a bunch of books, I've read comic books, I've read these sorts of things. I don't sit there like minute by minute fucking in my brain breaking down how this is diverging from the source material.
No, it's not necessarily that. It just feels different. And like the thing that comes to mind is obviously Critical Role had their Vox Machina TV series, animated series. Yeah. It was like, I felt that was very rushed. Like they fit like several hundreds of hours of it's like maybe 50 hours worth of content into like an 8-hour or 8-episode stretch. And I felt that was like super rushed and condensed, but that's just because it's a completely different medium and like they're going for a completely different type of storytelling. So I think it's probably something maybe you'll just get used to over the course of the series.
Well, I feel like it's going to be happening less now. I guess it's just but then it's also like, not to jump around too much, we'll start like going through.
I also think they wanted to get to that end point, and they did like skip over or rush a little bit towards the second half of this episode.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the I don't know. I think it's because the first half of the episode, you're watching it, you get used to a certain type of pace for the episode, and your body settles into that. And then once we jump ahead 20 minutes, the show's it does feel like it's a separate episode where the pacing of that second half of the episode is completely different to the first half. We're jumping around between characters and all these sorts of things. Whereas the first half of the episode, for the first 40 minutes, you're just following one character and you're into that rhythm. So I feel like it's that. I feel like it's just your mind, your body settles into it. All right, let's sort of go through from start to finish to a little bit, and we can point out things and as we sort of go here. But the first interesting thing is the way the episode starts. Of course, it starts with this 1960s, late 60s, whatever it was, I think, discussion that's happening with two doctors on a morning or nighttime show or whatever. They do like a shout out to COVID straight away, I guess, and like they're like, all airborne diseases and things that could be terrible. And then this other doctor starts going on about like literally just describing the cornucopias disease and fungi and and also I guess like talking about like what if the planet heats up? Like I don't know, like
it made this very realistic, scarily realistic. I'm like, fuck, we're fucked. Last of Us is going to happen any day now.
What do you think of this? Like, do you think it's I guess for a TV show, it sort of helps set and explain what it is from the outset without like straight up saying what it is. But then when the outbreak starts happening, I guess your brain is like, anyone watching it starts to go, that thing at the start of the episode, that's probably what's happened. I think it is a very smart way to introduce the idea of fungal diseases and like very much explains everything and kind of separates it from zombies and all that other kind of stuff. So I thought that was a very good opening and like just a very tense, like you could hear the deflation out of the audience. Right.
All of them be living in fear.
The host dude's like, what would happen if we did that? And the dude just goes, well, we lose.
Yeah.
Okay, cool story. Yeah. Let's go to a break now.
Yeah. See, in my mind, it'll work back where Bill watched that as a child, and that's why he's like a Doom prep.
I mean, that could be
a guy common thing.
I mean, that'd be funny if it was. Like, if that's what ends up happening, that'd be quite smart. Then you get the opening credit. What do you think of the opening credits thing with the fungi growing around and all that sort of stuff? And it
evokes
classic Last of Us. Yeah, classic Last of Us song as well.
It definitely evokes the look of the Last of Us game with the opening credit sequence from memory. not quite the same, but obviously you add on top of the music that's pulled pretty much exactly from the video games. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
The only thing that put me off is I come into this in my head. I'm like, fuck, I would love if they did that thing where it's like you don't get the title sequence until 40 minutes into the episode or whatever. But because
it hadn't happened till after she died,
yeah, that's the only thing that's sort of because that's the other thing I find weird about this episode is you do have two. I don't like that it has two time jumpy sequence things like. You start in the 60s and like now we're in 2003 and then you do another jump.
I think there's like three technically.
Yeah, and then all the like that. I also feel like just pacing wise again. I just feel it's a bit weird.
Yep.
Like it's not like I hate the opening sequence. I'm just like it's just a matter of fact that
it's all right.
I would have preferred the title sequence after Sarah dies. There's something about that. Like, because now in the show, it just fades out.
There's no break between the two. There's no break,
whereas it's such a, like in the game, that is like, it's in my mind, it's one of the...
It gives you a chance to like dry your tears and...
Yeah, it's like such a big emotional moment and it's just like the last of us, like here's the credit sequence, like you're sitting there watching the credits and you're just like, what the fuck did I just witness? You know, like, what am I watching? What am I playing here? So yeah, that's one change I would actually say I don't like. I would have preferred title sequence. Just do a really prolonged, because shows do that sometimes, you know, where you don't get the title sequence until like they do it, they just do it like halfway through the episode. Yeah,
I don't know. It'll be interesting to also going forward if there'll be cold opens, like, or whether this was just a one-off.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah.
So then we go to 2003. I like the fact that, not straight away as soon as we fade in here, but like when they get in the car and they head to school and all that sort of stuff, that they give you that date. They give it that whole like today's outbreak day, September, whatever it is, 16th or fucking I can't remember. But like they date it, which is kind of cool.
And it's set before the video games, right? It's earlier than the video games, right? Or
no, it's the same day.
Same day. Yeah. I thought they moved it back. Was the thing.
I don't think so. Did they?
I can't remember.
I thought it was around the same time. I remember. I haven't looked up.
I thought that was a story from memory.
If they did, it can't be far. Because in my brain, I'm like, it's early 2000s in the game. In this, it's early 2000s. I'm like, I just assumed it was the same. I don't recall it being actually,
in 2013, the outbreak of the mutant fungus ravages.
Yeah, no, they did, because this is 2003, so they moved it back 10 years.
Yeah.
For reasons, I guess. Whatever. I don't think it matters. Whatever.
So you don't have smartphones. That's why.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, so you just have to... Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
It probably is. Some technological reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the game, I guess, is set when the game released. They just made it. Yeah. But they kept the day the same. It's just 10 years earlier, either way. So we follow Sarah wakes up. She goes for a day. We get to see how she sort of is this smart, really likable kid straight away, which works perfectly especially for people who are watching this and this is the thing. Everyone's just, I feel like everyone I see at least, and this is a matter of fact of like my Twitter timeline mostly being people who've already like played the game and everything else like that. But everyone's reviewing and talking about this in comparison to the game. But let's not forget, and the thing we talked about on Platinum Explosion like a million times over the last like what seems forever in the lead up to the show actually getting released. HBO wants this thing to be massive, and HBO wants this thing to appeal huge to general audiences of HBO subscribers. This isn't just a show that's going to be watched by the fucking people who play the game, which I feel like it's sort of grinding my gears that people keep talking about it like that. But Sarah's really likable from the outset, really important for the emotional beat to work. And I really straight away liked, like, pretty much throughout this breakfast sequence, straight away I was like, I like everyone that's playing their characters here. I like the dude who's playing Tommy. Yeah. I like this whole, like, just walking in, like, I thought was having pancakes. I like this whole, like, the Joel, like, just hating fucking the taste of orange juice and, like, getting fed his vitamin C's. Like, everyone here, straight away I was like, yep, cool, I'm on board. Like, this all works for me. How do you feel in this, like, sort of 5-minute, like, meet the family sort of?
Meet the family. Yeah, it was good. Just kind of getting a glimpse at everybody to start off with, and like, just the whole building this section of the story to be more substantial than what we saw in the video games. I mean, was very effective, and like, also built the tension and made it feel very different. Yeah, I thought it was pretty fantastic. Also setting up why Joel needs that watch.
Why does he need that watch?
Because he keeps looking at his wrist.
Oh, true. Yeah.
He has to pull out his shitty
little
brick phone
or whatever, brick phone. Yeah. Little small. It's the small details I do.
That's why they actually moved it back to 2003, so you wouldn't have a mobile phone and you'd have a reason to have a watch.
I mean, still people wear watches in 2023. So, I like the small details though, like Nico Parker, Sarah wearing the shirt that is the same as from the game, but the shirts are just a fictional band. It's not a real band. But they recreated the shirt for the. So it's the small stuff I appreciate, like more so than the big stuff. So he goes the whole thing where he goes to it's really good. I really liked all this scene. It tonally. This next 10-15 minutes is just straight up like it's almost like silly how much it goes for the typical first 15-20 minutes of any zombie apocalypse movie beat for beat, because you just have all these little things and signs, or what they say on the TV, we're gonna ignore that though, I'm sure it's totally fine, and then you're hearing all the ambulances, there's a lot of ambulances out, and all this it goes for the typical sort of thing. Fire trucks keep going past and all this sort of stuff. So I like that though. I think we get this more prolonged sequence of building up to what's going on. You get, what else did I think of that word? Little small things. Oh, because they moved the timeline, it's funny how in the classroom you get that the fucking photo of George W. Bush up on the wall. And then also Tommy's.
Can I shout out one of my favorite sequences of Joel and Sarah trying to throw each other under the bus with their neighbors.
Oh, for the biscuits or whatever.
Yeah, trying to get them to interact with them when they don't want to.
Yeah,
that was very funny.
Tommy's truck also had a Operation Desert Storm veteran sticker on it. So I don't recall if they ever implied that he was in the army in the games or anything like that, or I'm just forgetting that or whatever. But I guess it does help explain how
why he's got a gun and
why he's got his gun or why the way he is, and I don't know, it is and it does fit the 2000, since I moved the timeline back, it sort of helps fit as well. So also there's a fact where there's a fucking in the classroom, Sarah's sitting there, looks out the window or whatever. It's it actually reminds me of it's Shaun the Dead, when Shaun's sitting there zoning out, he looks across the window, it's and the bus drives past and suddenly the zombie disappears. So I was waiting for a similar sequence to that. But there's someone in that classroom just suddenly hear a big loud cough in the background. I was nah, shoot him. Put him down. There, let's get rid of them. So
that's what it's been like for the last 3 years.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't even a loud cough. Our brains have just been more attuned to having to hear them. So then Sarah catches a bus down to town, which is important because that's why I guess she starts freaking out later about only people who've been in town will catch it. Gets Joel's watch fixed. Then we come back and we get pretty much the same. It plays out exactly from here, as it does into the game. Well, not after this, but the sequence of Joel coming home and giving the watch and Sarah passing out. They put on a movie. All these
dad joke
things,
of
the dad jokes about literally the exact same dad joke about it not working and all that sort of stuff. So they're keeping the scenes. I think the only things I would say, I'm all for change shit. I don't really give a fuck. Just don't change the stuff that in my mind is really important little things that build these relationships. And that watch joke I would list as a top 3 sort of Sarah Joel moment from the game. So keeping that I think is good. But then after this, once Sarah wakes up, they changed a lot here, and I think it's great because instead of just waking up and looking around the house and hearing stuff outside, and then Joel bursting through the door as he does in the game, he's scratching or whatever and knocks or noise and opens the door and finds the neighbor's dog, and then goes to take it over there. And of course you then get this prolonged proper horror thriller sequence of don't go into the house, but of course she goes into the house, like that sort of thing. But I think that's why, so even as someone who's played through the game multiple times, there's a story is like the back of my hand. I know Sarah's not going to die here. She's going to die in about 10 minutes. There's still the fact that you get drawn into it, that, you know, you're on the edge of your seat. Like, and that's why I think that's sort of, I think this sequence here is why I'd say the episode's so good, because even if someone knows exactly where it's going, I'm still like, oh shit, don't fucking go there, Sarah. Like, and it's like, no, but I know she's going to be fine. But yeah, it's like, and this is a really good sequence. They're doing one of my favorite horror things where they just like have the camera angled. You can clearly see someone like in the background and the character's like not looking in the right direction and all that sort of thing. And we get our first look at a only just turned clicker, or what would be a clicker? I don't know.
Can't remember what the term is.
I don't know what the term is, but like a runner, I think, or whatever they call it in the games. But they've just got the little whiskers or weird yucky shit coming out of their mouth.
So they got tendrils. That's the thing, tendrils, right?
Yeah, they got tendrils now.
There's no more spores.
No.
Which is disappointing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what did they? I remember like reading it ahead of time. Did they go into why?
I think my suspicion, one, they don't want to cover the actors' faces.
That's what I was thinking. Like, you have to wear so many masks all the time. Yeah.
Two, I feel like it's harder to realistically portray that on screen. This spore environment, whereas you can kind of get away with that in the video game.
Yeah.
Video games, like it would be much more expensive to get it done effectively on a TV show.
Yeah.
So,
but I guess that's the thing where now I'm fine with it to a point, but it is sort of it now just makes it more zombie-like.
Yeah,
because you have to be bitten, sort of.
Yes.
Instead of just having like if you digest the spores or whatever, like that can turn you. So that's the only thing I would say is sort of annoying about that whole thing.
Yeah,
but yeah. So now I got these little tendrils, which do look disgusting. So the runners have tendrils. To run out the house, fucking Joel hits that old lady right across the face.
Yeah, also like setting up this old lady beforehand, like when she's over at that house.
When she's really nice and everything.
Really nice, and of course, she's not looking at the old lady. The dog clearly is watching the old lady. Yeah, I thought it was a good setup, and man, that old lady can move when she needs.
Once she's turned or whatever. Yeah.
Turned, yeah. Proof of mind over matter.
She also, before I forget, when Sarah does go to the house earlier after school, and she lends that movie that they watch. That's like the movie, I'm pretty sure, that when you're playing the game, it's like on the posters when you're walking through the city. Ellie and Ellie asks about it and says what that is, and Joel's just like, oh, the big thing or whatever. So
yeah,
I feel like that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
So then we get a sequence. Yeah, I mean, they knock this whole part here out of the. Yeah, they do it fantastically, I feel. One of the most memorable video game sequences of all time, one of the most memorable parts of the game is, of course, the ride through town in the car and just like how intense it is and shit going on. Everything they've changed here, I think, only makes it better. I don't feel but it still captures the exact same
feel.
Yeah, the exact same feel that the game has, with just Sarah looking around, but almost stunned to not want to say too much. And a couple of things she says is just very light, like little things under her breath, like we had room, like that's sort of how it. Yeah. I mean, the major changes, of course, once I actually get into town.
Major changes, it's cut. That's a.
What do you mean?
Like, obviously, in the video game, you're just sitting in that car the entire time.
Oh, one-shot sequence.
One-shot sequence, whereas this is obviously cut together, so it feels a little bit different.
I still feel like it still achieves the same thing, which is just that sense of like it's the thrilling sense of what the fuck is going on
and shit.
But when they get into town, I just love the change of instead of just a truck blowing up, it's a fucking plane.
Well, they don't get hit by a truck; it's a plane. Yeah, so that was another thing that they changed, was like, obviously if you go into Joel's bedroom, you see the television telecast of like an explosion, and then you see it through the window. Whereas it seems like they've moved it so they're where the explosion is happening.
Yeah. Well, they keep some things like the barn on fire, and
Yeah.
they're like, that's whoever the family is. Like that, Tommy says that in the game in this.
Yeah.
Like all those little things, but like obviously driving through the field and whatever else is.
There's so many stuff that's like almost shot for shot. Like even they come to the end of the T junction, and the signs are almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They get out, they get separated. Then you again have a similar plays out here similar to does in the game. With Joel carrying Sarah because her ankle's fucked through and like running from a runner. Who that's again this fucking thing's just like flinging itself across the room, banging for everything. It's a good sequence.
Yeah.
Comes out that back door, gets stopped by old mate, and the only thing is, from memory, I swear he says in the game like, "She's just a child, sir," or whatever, and or something like that. I don't think.
I feel like you can sort of hear more of the other end of the radio.
You can hear like the dude, like he's like you hear him be like, "Ankle."
You hear him question.
All this like sort of stuff, but it plays out the same after that, which is of course, Joel turns as he shoots, and the army dude shoots him, but what the fuck?
Tommy shoots him in the
Tommy
head.
comes in and saves Joel, but of course Sarah's dead, and she's dying. Just as I would love. See, I'm sick of like it's nice is like everyone I see on Twitter saying that sequence is great. I'm like, it's happening there. I want to be in a room with someone who doesn't know this is happening, who's just spent 40 minutes watching the show, thinking Sarah's the main character of this program.
Yeah, someone who hasn't been watching any of the.
Yeah, I want to know how someone reacts who doesn't know anything. I want to know that. That's the. I want to know if it works for them as well. Like, does it work? That's the more interesting thing to me. I think it's fantastic.
I think it will,
I think it's just as distressing, even though I know it's going to happen. It's still just as horrible. It's sad. And you're like, what the fuck? And then from that moment onwards, when you then jump ahead 20 years, you're like, what the fuck? Like, it's that who will survive? Oh, this isn't a program. This isn't a show where everyone I see is going to live forever. Like anyone can die at any point, sort of scenario. So I hope it works for people who are just like watching this and don't know anything about the game. Which there will be a lot. There's going to be a lot of people watching this who just watch like they're like cool new HBO thing.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Like, I'm going to be interested to see the numbers of people who watch this. How's it going to compare to other HBO recent stuff?
I'm going to do massive.
More or less than House of Dragon did?
Less.
Okay.
Game of Thrones. Come on, let's be realistic.
Okay.
I still reckon it's going to be massive, but like, come on. Game of Thrones? No. Unknown property? No.
A known property that everybody turned on in the 8th season. Even though it won the Emmy Award.
Yeah, they still returned. They were like, I'm going to see what the first episode's like. So. But the thing is with HBO, you got to remember, like, because we watch this, people watching this here and Foxtel binge, whatever. Like, this is the prime time Sunday night. What's the big HBO show that's happening on the Sunday night? This is the slot. This is it. What is it? Last of Us, new thing. Let's watch it. See what it's like. So, we jump ahead 20 years. We then follow this little kid, who's, I don't know, wandering around or whatever else. You get this sequence just to introduce, I guess, how fucked up the current world is. The soldiers, the Fedra, is that what they're called? Yeah. Fedra, they drag this kid in, like, take him to this room where there's like a poster on the wall that gives you a rough timeline of how long it takes for someone to turn, depending on where they've been bitten, which basically boils down to head, fucking fast, body, couple hours, and then like your legs, maybe a day or something. Like I think it was like around that.
Yeah.
We'll
that's
talk to her. Right. Huh?
That's Ellie, right?
No. It's a fucking kid that they then show Joel throw onto a fire.
Oh.
Like, it's not Ellie. It's a random kid. That's what I'm saying. Like, the whole point of this sequence is just to be
this is a weird insert time jump that they've added here.
Like, the only point of this sequence is to show that, like, how long it takes them to get infected so they can show you. It's like they just want to be able to tell you this without having weird dialogue where a character walks up to you and goes, "Oh, by the way, I forgot, Joel. How long does it take to turn?" Like, you know, some weird fucking, like, when we're talking about the different, especially when we're discussing things like Andor and stuff. So
that wasn't medicine, though.
No, like, it was fucking killing the child. Ash, pay attention. Oh my god. They clearly show you the kid. This is why we can't have good things anymore. You need to be told, hey, that kid that was on this that's him. That's him, everyone. Fucking here I'm complimenting like organic storytelling, and you're like, nah, too much for me. Straight over my head.
It still worked though. It's all good.
Fucking hell. No, the whole point of this sequence is they can shove a poster in your face that tells you the signs of the infection, how long it takes to turn, what they deal with people who are infected, which is there's no cure. Like, the whole point of the sequence is there's someone who's infected, they don't even fuck around, they just kill them. It's a fucking kid. They've been bitten, they kill them. Because this is the world we're now living in. There's no beating around the bush with that. So yeah, they then flash forward or flash over to the sequence where you got this.
So
this
you
woman.
also thought for 6.
What? No, I didn't.
It's a time jump.
No. I mixed my words. It's completely different. They go to the sequence where you see some people like playing with a fire. They're throwing bodies onto it. They reveal that one of them is Joel. This person opens up the back of this car. The camera clearly hangs on the feet of the child for a second to show you it's the exact same shoes. I wasn't
looking at the kid's feet.
Well, you were, because the camera showed you several times when the kid was walking.
The first time we saw the kid. Looking at the red shirt. And like,
the woman's like, I can't do it. It's a kid. And then Joel he doesn't care. He just picks up. He chucks the kid on the fire. Job's a job. He doesn't care how hard or bad the work is. Corpse is a corpse. You know, when he asks for a job after this.
This one's lighter than the other one.
Yeah, this one's easy to chuck in. It's fine. So it's again, like, you get to see how the world's sort of set up in the sequence too, how you get these like ration cards, paying, people get jobs. Joel literally asks like, what job pays more? And the person's like, the one we were shoveling shit. It's like, I'll have that one. Like,
yeah.
So it's a good way to boil out. And you also get the sequence where, of course, Joel gets dragged across the side. He reveals that Joel's actually a drug dealer. Gives the Fedra dude whatever, I can't remember, some drug.
Sleeping drugs, yeah.
Sleeping drugs. They talk about how there's a place out Whoop Whoop where someone's just making bullets and drugs. Which I'm like, are we actually going there? Is that like... But anyway. I think that's about all that happens here. Because then we flash over to Anatov, Tess. Yep. Meet her for the first time. She's been captured by... I can't remember his name.
Robert? I want to say.
Yeah, Robert. Who... is like, this plays out again like the basis of what's happening here is the same as in the game, but then they change it a lot, which is fine because it's like this whole sequence of the game is like a prolonged tutorial basically, so that's all good. Robert like does a dodgy to steal this battery off her or whatever else that they're trying to get, because they introduce this thing where Joel's trying to get parts for a truck so he can drive out to look for where Tommy was last seen, because Tommy hasn't been heard of for a couple of weeks. So that's why he wants a battery. That's why he's trying to get the money. That's why he's trying to buy all these parts and all these sorts of things. So they set up that Joel and Tess have a reason to want out of the city to go quite a distance from the outset, which plays in later, of course, which is good. But luckily for Tessa, she's like sort of being held captive and beat the fuck up because, I mean, like, Anatol looks fucked up.
All a misunderstanding.
Anatol is like fully bruised and fucked up. It's good. Not Joel. Fireflies, I guess, like by happenstance, just set off a bomb right outside. So luckily for her, she sort of gets to escape. She spends the night in lockup or federal lockup or whatever, but then they don't beat around the bush between is Joel and Tess in a relationship or not, because they share a house together, they sleep together. Joel and Tess are in a relationship. That's whereas the game it was like, are they? I think so.
Are they? Are they not? Yeah.
I mean, ultimately it was like it's not really important. They care for each other, but
yeah.
But works here. What do you think of the early impressions and stuff that we get for Anna Torb's Tess in this episode?
Yeah, she's really tough. Obviously she took that beating and was like, we can move past this.
We can move past this. Like cross their fingers behind her back as she says it. But, yeah.
I mean, I love the line. I promised Robert you weren't hurt him, but I would really love you too.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
When she goes, she's like, you need to calm down. When
take a breath.
It's the next day when Joel and Tess wake up, but take a breath. They go over her thing. She's trying to look after her. It's just like, I promise you wouldn't hurt him, but I really want you to fucking hurt him. So yeah, it's good. So we set off for the same thing.
Also, Robert is like terrified of Joel. So
yeah, she's like, he's terrified of you. It's they set up between that line and the way Joel's like sort of just like already like the way Pedro plays him as this silent but tough dude, I guess. But not even over macho way, just just that's the dude he is. Like between that and then of what happens later, you're like, okay, yeah, I understand. This, how we get there. Between all this, we are like, just for the sake of, before I can join them up, like we are having these sequences play out where we're flashing over to Ellie, or meeting her, but she's known as, I don't know, she's
Veronica.
given her name. Is that what she's saying? Veronica. So she gave a fake name of Veronica. She's chained up. People are coming in to do tests on her to count and hold her hand out, and I don't know, all sorts of things, I guess, to like, but they imply she's been locked up for 2 weeks, I think, or something like that. So after like Marlene finds her after she's been infected. Now, for the sake of, again, like these are spoiler episodes, but for the sake of not spoiling anything yet to come, I don't want to do that, I guess, for people who maybe are just listening to this. So I don't want to go ahead, but we will find out. We do know that we are going to find out more about how she got infected later in the show. Like, that's not a thing to say. That's going to really
name drop somebody, right?
Yeah, they name drop people straight away. So we're gonna flash back.
See, this also contributed to me thinking it was Ellie earlier, because she's like, I dropped you off at like this off place, So I thought she dropped her off in the middle of nowhere to walk up to the.
No,
build.
That's implying other things.
But this makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean that's delving into the who's Ellie's mum. Ellie's mum was always like, Ellie's mum's part of the Fireflies. Like, this is that you're now going down this road of that's how Marlene knows who Ellie is and all these other sorts of things. I also Mel, what's her name? Mel Dandridge. I don't know. I think that's it. Fuck. Hold on. Is that her name? Dandridge.
Yep, Dandridge.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, she's really good. Love her as Marlene in this. I do like straight away how, compared to the game, they're like, she's like, I'm the leader of the Fireflies in, where they are, Boston. Compared to in the game, it was always like, she's the leader of the Fireflies. I'm like, is she though? Or is she just like the leader here? Like, she's the leader of this group, which, the game straight, or the show straight away makes the
distinction.
The distinction that she is a leader, but she's not the leader. Like, the Fireflies don't die when Marlene dies, sort of scenario. What was your impressions, like early impressions of Bella Ramsey's Ellie?
She swears good. That's all. I know. Yeah. I mean, it definitely evoked memories of Ellie at the start of The Last of Us. So, because there's definitely obviously there's that moment where Joel's stepping on her knife and she's like, "Fuck you," and it's like, yeah, okay, this is the relationship that I remember.
Yeah, I really like it. I think she's really, really good. Like, from the outset, getting the 7, 8, fuck you, like all those little things is 100% Ellie to me. So,
or even like she gets her backpack, the first thing she does is pull out a knife.
Yeah, like she's always looking for she's gonna look after herself. Check.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really like what we get so far in this. Then we like the timelines converge, because while Tess and Joel go through the subway, and yes, not their timelines, the fucking storylines. while they go for the subway and they find out where whatever his name is.
First, look at a clicker, kind of, on the subway.
Yeah, on the wall. Yeah, like a dead one, one that expired.
Yeah.
Again, if the spores, they would have had to put on masks at this point, but no, apparently they're fine just hang around it, which is very weird to watch because I'm like, but apparently it's okay. So yeah, weird. They go through the subway or whatever to find old mate. When they push through the building, they end up being in the same place Marlene was, because Marlene was trying to do a deal for the battery. Why she want the battery? Because she was planning on leaving that night. Well, taking all the fireflies, but then dipshit. I don't know. Like, you don't really need to know what happened.
Robert used the battery.
Robert had a shootout. Yeah, Robert's just trying to fuck everyone over for money, so he fucks everyone else. And then we get the whole sequence where Marlene's like, "Oh, do you a deal? The fireflies at this location will give you everything you need. If you take the girl, you just do her off. She's just cargo." We get that line. Cargo. She's cargo. Yeah. Tess and Joel, of course, agree to it, and then we get the whole go back to the Marlene and that head off. Joel and Tess go back to their apartment. Joel and Ellie just chill out there for a while. Ellie quickly starts fucking around with shit in the house, in the apartment, including picking up the book of songs and straight away assuming it's like some secret code, which turns out to be true, which I feel like sort of annoys Joel that she worked that out so fast.
Well, she tricks Joel into revealing part of the code.
She's like, I knew it. So, so then Tess comes in and we head out let's break out of the place or whatever. I don't know where they're going. I can't remember where they're going. Anyway, they're in Boston, I think. But I'm pretty sure that's where we're at, Boston. I can't remember where the location they're going to is. Like some place in the middle of Boston. They head out. They do the whole similar to the game sequence of crawling through you got all the federal agents on high alert because of all the firefly attacks and all these sorts of things. So they're making it harder to get out. Unlike in the game where they're coming out of that tunnel and they just get like stopped straight away and Ellie then like stabs a dude and still all these sorts of things. They're just walking past this building and somehow don't know his old mate taking a piss in the corner, but whatever. Of course, it's the same guy that Joel was dealing drugs to before. He's like, nah, I'm going to take it all serious. I'm going to fuck you. I'm going to do everything by books, and starts like scanning them. Of course, Ellie's comes up as negative, but she knows shit ain't going to work out well once that happens. So stabs him, and then we get to see what Joel's made of because he beats the ever living fuck out of that dude. Like, he got some dark side in him, but we know that.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was a small moment, but like Ellie kind of slide steps to the side so she can watch. Yeah, she wants to watch it. She wants to see it. Yeah, she's enjoying it. Yeah. She doesn't look away. She looks harder. So, yeah. Definitely enjoying it. Then they have this whole freak out over her, but, Ellie shows Tess that her bite mark and says it's 2 weeks old, and you can hear people coming in the background. Tess is like, we're going to go. Music of Never Let Me Down Again kicks in, and they run off through Boston. Camera pans up, lightning in the distance, shit's fucked. As far as our TV episode goes, again, for people who don't know what's coming, which you sort of have to look at as, great first episode, cliffhanger. They reveal Ellie's bitten, and that you would be piecing it together in your head if you didn't know the story of, like, this is what Marlene was talking about. This is why this girl's so important. She's someone who's been bitten but hasn't turned in 2 weeks. Wow, that's crazy. I saw a sign earlier in this episode that said the longest you can survive is 24 hours if you're bitten in the foot. Like, this is all little bits of storytelling. So really cool. And I love the use of the song. Like, I didn't recognize it at first, but clearly an 80s song. And from the code that we learned earlier in the episode, that means bad news. Yes.
Bad news. I don't know if it...
I also love we kind of skipped over it, but like the information trading section, like
with the radio
station.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite interesting element of the show. So.
People have to pay him to send out signals to loved ones or stuff like that, or look for loved ones to... other thing. That's how Joel's been trying to find out.
No, Joel can skip the line because he's Joel.
He's Joel.
We don't have time in this episode for Joel to wait in line.
No, I certainly don't. And one dude's like, get in line. I was like, I don't fuck what you say. Do what I want. Yeah, any other final thoughts on the first episode?
No, yeah, just really good. Obviously, the ominous sound at the end of the episode of the clickers.
Clickers, yeah.
Yeah.
Clickers in the distance. So,
I mean, without the risk of being infected by airborne fungi, the hazard zones feel a little bit less threatening. Because really,
I mean, not really. Like we.
I mean, really, what is a fence like that going to do against the clickers? You know, if they want to get over their fence, they're going to get over their fence.
Yeah, I guess so. You saw one freshly turned infected chasing after Joel at before in this episode, and looked how fast that moved, and I feel like when we get into the show and we start seeing multiple, those things, and like once they see how they portray clickers and like how attuned their hearing is and just how fucked up they are and scary. Because that's the thing, like. I'm really interested because I assume we're going to see one next week. But in the game, the first time you come across a clicker, it does that horror game thing of you have a look at a little cutscene. They're like, these things are fucked, and now you're back in control, and you almost don't want to move your character because you're like, what do I do? So how do you portray that same level of fear? In the TV show is the thing. So. Cool. Well, that's it. So yeah, fantastic first episode of The Last of Us. It's had rave reviews since the reviews let up last week. Everyone, I think it's got like a 90 something Metacritic. Definitely
it's 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got an 84 on Metacritic.
Yeah. Definitely the most successful thing to come out of PlayStation production so far compared to Uncharted, but that's fine. Really good. I don't know if they'll release viewer numbers. They usually HBO.
Yeah, they don't. Well, it depends on how good they are. So, I mean, that's why I was kind of checking as we were recording whether they'd announced anything yet, but not yet.
I assume they will. I don't think it's going to be bad. So. All right, thank you for joining us for this bonus episode discussing The Last of Us episode 1. We will be releasing these each and every week for the next 8 weeks as each episode drops. Platinum Explosion regular weekly episodes returns next week. So what that will mean is you'll have your regular episode going up Wednesdays. You'll have your spoiler cast going up ASAP. We're going to be recording them Tuesday mornings following the episode because we're going to be watching them Monday nights. That's sort of how that's going to play out. But yeah, we will probably have a spoiler-free little section, I presume, next week on Plat. But otherwise, all your spoiler discussion of the series going forward will be in these breakout episodes. I'm going to try not to spoil anything that could be coming in future episodes just in case. But yeah, they're totally spoilers for the episode. Cool. Thank you for joining us. See you next week. Until then, stay clicker-free. Arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times.